guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here in my backyard, my favorite filming spot location, because guess what? We have the OG of the compact crossover SUVs. This is it. This is a 2022 Toyota RAV4, but guess what? This isn't your regular RAV4. This is that highly elusive RAV4 Prime that everybody wants. But before we get into this plug-in electric hybrid version of Toyota's mighty selling compact SUV, let's talk about what's going on here. The RAV4, believe it or not, came out all the way back in 1994. That is the year that I graduated from high school. Mind blown. Now, over the years, the RAV4 kind of laid down the blueprint of what a smaller crossover SUV was all about. And of course, other brands, Honda with the CR-V, of course you got Mazda with the CX-5, and then there's also newcomers like the Hyundai Tucson, and we can't forget that Kia Sportage that is redesigned for 2022. But you know what? No longer is it just about internal combustion engines anymore. Now it has a lot to do with electrification. And you look at this RAV4, you might say to yourself, it's not a fully electric vehicle, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have some electrification to go with it. So what I want to do is, I want to compare this 2022 RAV4 Prime plug-in electric hybrid with a fully electric SUV, that one being the Subaru Solterra. So let's go ahead, we're going to dive in our RAV4 Prime and see, is it better to go the safer route, having the electrification, but also having the internal combustion engine? Or are you ready to just dive in head first into the deep end of the pool with electrification? Hopefully, not everybody with the electrification is diving head first into the shallow end. That wouldn't be so good. But let's go ahead, let's dive into this RAV4 Prime and find out. Right off the bat, the styling. You know it's a RAV4, hard to confuse with a lot of other SUVs out there. At the front of the business, the great news is across all the trims, you get a whole new front fascia and headlight setup. So headlight housing still the same size, but you're getting new lighting. So you have your LED turn signals, daytime running lamps, and your projector beam headlight in there. Working your way down, one of my favorite things that I really love about the front of a RAV4 is right here. The way it extends out gives it a nice aggressive look. If you remember, the previous generation was kind of round. It looked like a refrigerator on wheels. This one has some personality to it, and I like that. Now, for 2022, they added this gloss black area and some more exterior lighting. So I'm glad it's not a fake vent. It's not just something stuck on. You do have some actual exterior lighting in there. And then one thing you'll also notice, not all the black on this vehicle is gloss black by itself. Toyota uses, and I'm going to have Steven kind of try to show you, it has this blue metal flake added to it. Gives it a different style than just your run-of-the-mill kind of stuff. So I like the way they did that on the lower portion. Now, obviously with the RAV4 Prime, this one being brand new, it looks really good. I guess the big factor is, what is it going to look like 6 years down the road? Is it going to be all, you know, swirled up and scuffed up? We'll have to wait and see. But definitely with the solar red and that black, it looks really sharp. Now on this lower portion, you actually do have a functional corner air intake, obviously for cooling with that battery pack that we have, because this is, like I said, a plug-in electric hybrid. And then I'm also digging this darker silver metallic finish. It's a flat finish, but it gives a lot of element of depth to the front of the vehicle. Now, as we come across the grille, that front nose, like I was saying, this looks like a RAV4. You have that wide open upper mouth with the Toyota badge. The blue means that this has that electrification. You can still get a hybrid RAV4 if you want, or this one is the plug-in electric hybrid. We do have a forward-facing camera on this XSE trim. And I do like the way they did the grille design, this little diamond pattern with that blue metal flake. Work your way down. There is a large section of that black gloss with the blue metal flake. It's a little too heavy, but what I do like is the lower section does have that functionality to help bring cool air to the heat exchangers at the front end of the business. Now, This being an XSE trim, you do have dark chrome finish across the top of the upper grille. And then the one thing I don't love is how they got this fake vent thing going on. This would have been cool to bring more air into underneath the hood if you were able to flow some through these fake vent areas. So I am gonna zonk that, but like I said, aggressive, it definitely has that aggressive look. Now when you get up onto the hood, hood's gonna be exactly the same as any other RAV4, sort of like a U-shape design, indentation in the center, everything else is super clean. Now, when we come around the bend, what are we working with wheel and tire setup? What you're gonna notice, these wheels are specific to the RAV4 Prime, and guess what? They're new for 2022. So we have 19-inch wheels, machined aluminum with the gloss black. The style is very Toyota. So you could take that one of two ways. You could say, well, okay, it's very Toyota, this is their style, or you could say it's very Toyota, it's boring. I wish it had a little bit more pizzazz to it, put it that way, but you're looking at 235 on the width, 55 series sidewall, and we do have all-wheel drive. You have an electric motor with the engine up front, and you have an electric motor driving the rear wheels out back. There's no actual drive shaft. It's just an electric motor on the back end of the business to drive those rear wheels. I'm gonna have Steven kind of zoom in and show you that the RAV4 Prime actually has suspension specifically matched to this particular RAV4, just like the hybrid does, just like the TRD. So that's another thing, is that this RAV4 Prime is gonna handle very unique to itself. One of the other touches I'm not crazy about is the gloss black with the blue metal flake around the fender opening. I wish they would have used the solar red. I think that that would have made it look a little bit more like a cohesive, clean design. Let me know how you feel about all this black trim in the comment section. Now, coming down the side, of course, you're gonna get a plug-in hybrid badge. Brag to all your friends. You know, you pull up at Starbucks, everybody goes, ooh, ah, what is that? You can see the dimensions of this compact crossover SUV. This is not a subcompact. Subcompact is the Corolla Cross. This is a compact. You're gonna get that gloss black treatment on the mirror caps, the turn single slim and trim. One of the things I wish they would have done, because this is the XSE, which is supposed to be the sporty trim, is darken this bright shiny metalwork. So up top, you do have some bright shiny metalwork. I'm gonna give it a zonk because it should be a little darker. But one thing this has is you'll notice that you get the accessory crossbars. So you have your roof rails with the crossbars. You can put your kayak holder up there, a cargo basket, even a couple mountain bikes. Heck, if one of your kids are misbehaving, strap them to the roof. If you get pulled over, I didn't say to do that. Color matched on the door handles, and then you'll notice on the lower end, you have that large black area as we kind of swing around. One of the things I always thought was weird is where they put the all-wheel drive badge. Why don't they just have one of those on the rear lift back? So kind of zonking where they put that all-wheel drive badge. But I like the two-tone. Let me know how you feel about that. I don't mind the two-tone, especially with the red, with the black roof. And then coming around the rear, what do we got going on? You got this long, low roof spoiler. Of course, we got the wiper. All the competitors have the wiper. Would like to get rid of this and tuck it underneath, so we'll give it a zonk. But you got your tail lights, just like before. Major badging. RAV4 Prime. You're definitely gonna let the people know behind you which RAV4 you have. We got the XSE badge, that sportier trim. A little bit of that flat metallic silver matches what's on the front. And then as we come down to the bottom side, you do actually have functional exhausts on both sides. It's an oval cut stainless steel exhaust tip, nice slash cut to it, an oval shape. But when you're comparing this to the Solterra, remember, the Solterra is gonna have full LED lighting. So there's some areas where you see some of the old-fashioned light bulbs in there. That's where they don't have the LED lighting. The Subaru Solterra, being a full EV, will have full LED lighting, and you do have all-wheel drive option with the Solterra, just like with this Prime. It's obviously controlled by two electric motors, one at the front, one on the back. But since we're talking about power, let's go ahead, pop the hood on the Prime and see what this Autobot has to show for it. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod, but guess what? The Subaru Solterra also has a prop rod. Underneath the hood, you get a little bit of everything. Whereas on the Solterra, you have an electric motor up front. Underneath the hood, you have an electric motor, but you also have that internal combustion engine. So you're looking at a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated inline four, one electric motor up front, one electric motor out back. Guess what? 302 horsepower. So you're getting plenty of horsepower. It is mated to a CVT. Remember, with the Subaru Solterra, you are getting a direct drive transmission. There's no actual gears whatsoever. This does have more horsepower than the Subaru Solterra, even with the two electric motors. 0 to 60 in this vehicle, 5.4 seconds. Much quicker. Subaru Solterra is around 6.1 seconds. Quarter mile on this vehicle is 14.1 seconds at 98.7 miles per hour. Well, guess what? Just to put that in perspective for you, that was the quarter mile of a stock 1985 C4 Corvette. Was 14.1 seconds in the quarter mile. The vehicle weighs 4,372 pounds, can tow up to 2,500 pounds, and here comes the big winners. 105 mpges on the highway, 84 in the city, 42 miles pure EV. So think about that. If your office is 20 miles away from your house, you could drive to work and back and not even use a drop of fuel. You'll be using the pure electrification. 600-mile range. Compare that to the Subaru Solterra. On a single charge, you're looking around 230 miles, maybe on a good day if you have a tailwind behind you and a RAV4 Prime pushing it. But why don't we go ahead, let's see how this thing accelerates and see if it lives up to the numbers in this RAV4 Prime. All right, guys, we are inside this 2022 RAV4 Prime. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I have been looking low and wide and far and tall and everywhere in between looking for one of these RAV4 Primes. I can't find them anywhere, but I'm going to try to track one down. You know why? I'm kind of digging it. How much is it, though? So this one, being the top XSE trim, which is also the sporty trim, the way you see it has an MSRP right around $51,000. Let's see how it stacks up to the Subaru Solterra. And remember, there are tax credits that are involved in this equation as well. But let's go ahead to the door panels and see what we got. With the XSE trim, you do have red stitching nicely all the way across the top. It is soft touch material. It waterfalls down onto the armrest, and you don't have any gloss black anywhere. Not on the door handle, not around the switchgear, and I really like that. The one thing that is a little tough to swallow is that door pocket. It's on the tighter side, so maybe one regular McDonald's cheeseburger, and that's it. You can't even step it up to a double cheeseburger. And a bottle of root beer to wash it down. You got the funky graphics on the speaker grill there with the RAV4 name in case you forgot which SUV you bought. And then going from the door panel to the dash, soft touch material. I'm digging the silver trim. There's more of that red stitching is nice. We have the auxiliary RAV4 Twinkie tray, baker's dozen. Stick them in there, 1 to 13. We got the JBL sound system, soft material up top. And then guess what? We're going 9 inches. 9 inches on the upgraded infotainment system. It is the older operating software, but you do have your navigation. It is full touchscreen. And then you go to your menu page, you got your little widgets. I was hoping that it would have the upgraded software, but I do like how easy it is to use. I know a lot of you, though, do not like the iPad style screen that they use. And it's really not the sexiest of screens when it comes to graphics. Going into backup mode, reverse, you can see we do have a 360-degree camera. and you do have your backup camera with trajectory, which is nice. The one thing that isn't nice is that, like Steven said, you could feel every single pixel. It's almost like you could rub your finger over the image and it's like rubbing it on sandpaper. So I was wishing and hoping that they had a better resolution camera, but it is nice to be able to easily scroll through those different angles. And then you go right back in the park. Working our way down, more stitching. Some of the largest freaking AC knobs. And guess what? With that rubber grip, your hands will never slip. Look at this. I'm like pulling with all my might and I'm about to rip out the AC. That's how rubbery and sticky those non-slip grip knobs are. You do have dual climate. Look how easy it is to change. It's like a lotto number coming out. You do have the ability to shut off your traction control. My favorite part, 3 stages of heated seats, 3 stages of ventilated seats, and you do have wireless charging down below. I'll get the shifter out of the way for Steven to make his job easier, because that's what I'm all about. You do have your 12 volt, and you do have, open up the door, a USB-A, and your wireless charging. So I do like the way they got you covered there, all closed up. This is gonna control your CVT. Not my favorite, but let me know what you think about it. With this Prime, it's the same exact transmission as with the hybrid. I do like the red stitching, just like the other red stitching. We also have our knob here, and what's cool is, I don't know if Steven can show you, but right now we're in normal, it's green. Watch this, you push it, and then you go through your different modes and it changes color. Of course, sport is red, because red means race. And we even have a trail mode, so that's another nice setup there. And you got your full EV, remember? 42 miles full EV. 2 very deep cup holders. The good news about the depth is that you could get that super Slurpee in there, maybe mix a little bit of Coca-Cola and a little bit of Mountain Dew or Sprite. You do have your RAV4 Prime key fob. I wish it said Prime just to prove it, or at least it would have been cool if it said Optimus Prime. That would have really made my day. And then on the back side, you actually can do a remote start, but it's not really remote start because you're just turning the car on and it turns the AC on, which is nice to cool things down. That is unique to the RAV4 Prime. Nice soft freaking padding here with the stitching. Open it up, 2 USB-Cs, and you got enough room, I would say, 5, depending on the size of the actual figures, 5 transformers. So you could get like Starscream in there, Soundwave, Bumblebee for sure, because remember, Bumblebee was really small on the original Transformers, not like that other stuff that they show, that Michael Bay stuff that really has nothing to do with anything Transformers. But nice and soft. Seats, I'm digging them. The style, I like the way they brought the red throughout. Very soft and comfortable. You do have, of course, on the side here, the electric assist, which is great. And we already talked about they're ventilated and heated. We have panoramic sunroof, which is spectacular. Digging that. Close it back up, and then to wrap it off, yes, Steven gets to show his Type R. There's Steven's Type R. Let's get it out of the way. There it is on the digital rearview mirror. I like that piece of technology, but you know what? It's not just about the passenger side. It's about this thing right here, this round thing that sort of looks like a donut sometimes. Come on over. I want to show you behind the business end of the RAV4 Prime. All right, guys, come on in. There's more than meets the eye. See what I did there? You got 2 memory seat settings. New for 2022, they decided to bring a RAV4 sill plate. Nicely done, styled. I like the way it's got this almost like electricity kind of thing going on with it. You do have your seat controls, easy to get to. And like I said, 2 memory seat settings to save, so you can let somebody borrow your RAV4 if you're lucky enough to have a friend, an actual good friend, not one of your friends out of 9,000 on Facebook that you've never even met before in your life. But anyways, 6 feet tall, plenty of room, seats are comfy, steering wheel, like I said, nice and round. I like the way they did the red stitching. That almost looks like a baseball sign by Babe Ruth, the way they did that baseball style stitching. Not the sexiest of steering wheels. I wish they would have done something with this freaking horn button. Little plain Jane for my taste, but I do like the flat black on the buttons. You do have paddles to go through the simulated gears. I know Steven really likes these on CVT equipped vehicles, to go through the simulated gears with the RAV4 Prime. I do like the way they give you an auxiliary Twinkie tray for the driver. You could put 2 Twinkies in there, make sure you're charged up. We also have our 360-degree view where you just hit that and it does 360. And you got your heated steering wheel, which is nice. Steering wheel is manual tilting and telescoping. And then digital display, you get a nice 7-inch display in the center. And what's great is you could actually go through a cornucopia of information, nice clear graphics. And I like the way it's got the analog gauges as well. You do have a head-up display on the XSE. Everything else well laid out in here. Let's get into that back seat and see if your passengers are gonna like hypermiling with you in the RAV4 Prime. All right, guys, back seat time in the RAV4 Prime. One thing to remember, you are gonna get a little bit more passenger volume in the Solterra because it does have a totally flat floor since it's a BEV, a battery electric vehicle. This one does have a battery underneath it, just not as large. Plus we got all the other goodies going on in here. Now, other than that, you're still getting a ton of room, even with the panoramic sunroof. Large pockets, easily put a couple, I would say, a couple rackets, couple tennis rackets back here. You know, sometimes you go to play a little bit of tennis, you got nowhere to put your racket and your balls. So where do you put them? You put them in the rear seat pocket. It makes sense. You do have AC vents, which is a nice touch. And we got USB-Cs all the way down below, and they're illuminated blue to make you feel special and so that you could always make perfect contact every time you go to charge your phone. Like I was saying, I'm 6 feet tall. I feel good back here. Armrest. Damn, I thought it was gonna be Charmin approved. It's not. This is Scott's single ply toilet paper approved. So not the softest, but also not like sandpaper. 2 cup holders, flip it back. They did a great job on the seat material. And one thing I wanna point out before we just slide on out of here is on the passenger door panel, you'll notice that's where the seat heaters are. So there are heated seats for the backseat passengers as well. But let's see how this stacks up to the Solterra and cargo volume. Let's go ahead and check it out. Guys, cargo area time. Now I know there's a lot of questions because of the battery pack, because of the electric motor underneath. Let's see how much room we have. You hit the button, nice electric assist. It's a little slow. I mean, I feel like I could go do a load of laundry and come back and this would still be opening. But the great news is, check it out. First of all, low level bumper area. So you don't have a high lift over point. Nice and wide, very tall space. On the driver's side, you got that secret missing link of the JBL sound system. That is that subwoofer. Obviously the seats fold down 60-40 split. On the passenger side, we got a home power source and a 12 volt, which is phenomenal. And then just when you thought everybody got rid of their spares, in the RAV4 Prime, there's your charging cords, but you also have your spare as well. Nice to see that they didn't get rid of that, but you know what? They say this thing could perform. I'm not too sure about that. If you're ready, I'm ready. See how slow it is? Let's go on throttle in this RAV4 Prime. All right, guys, we're inside this 2022 RAV4 Prime. Right away, you feel comfortable. You got plenty of room, and there's definitely some great tech in here. I do have it in sport mode. The way that you know that is because the 7-inch digital gauge display has the red speedometer. If I go ahead and either push it in, that goes to normal, or we could go into full eco mode. What's great is you're not really feeling the on and off of the 2.5 liter inline 4, which is great between electric and the engine. And then, like I was saying, having 42 miles of range just on electric is quite respectable for a plug-in. Going down the road, all the things that you love about the RAV4 are still here, but one thing you've never had in the RAV4 is quick acceleration. In a standard inline 4 naturally aspirated RAV4, you're looking 0 to 60 in about 8.2 seconds. In this, we're talking about 5.4 seconds. But let's do a little bit on throttle. I'm gonna slow down to about, let's say, 35 miles an hour here, 30 miles an hour. On throttle, get up and go. Now, the one thing that is a bummer is that they don't have any kind of simulated shifts when you're in regular drive automatic shifting mode. That to me is a major bummer, because as you saw and heard, when you're on throttle, you just hear revs. That's all you hear is just. It would have been nice for them to put in some simulated shifts to keep those RPMs down so that it wouldn't be so buzzy in here when you're on full on throttle. But for the most part, obviously most people are not going to be going on throttle all the time, but you may want to, because you do have the fastest accelerating RAV4 ever with this RAV4 Prime. I do like the way that, just like any other RAV4, everything is well laid out, and the materials in here, I feel like compared to the Solterra, are actually much better. And there's not a ton of gloss black right in the center console, but as soon as this light turns green, on throttle, here we go. Into this right-hand bend, nice and controllable. Now, the one thing to remember is that the electric motor out back only comes on when slippage is detected. So it's not always going all the time. And what could happen is that if you're on a dirt or muddy road, it's gonna make it feel a little herky-jerky, because it's gonna be turning on and turning off every time it gains grip and then loses grip. So something to think about with the setup in this. It's not like the CR-V hybrid where there's an actual mechanical drive shaft that's connecting the front to the rear, or like in the Subaru Solterra where you actually have both motors going at the same exact time. But let's go ahead and on throttle, here we go. I'm telling you, it's really crazy just how they're able to get the speed out of this RAV4 Prime with that combination of the electric motor and the internal combustion engine. Steering is not as spot on as I would like, but this isn't some high performance GR version. Now, I'm sure that eventually is gonna happen, but this one is not it. But the seats are comfy. The lower portion of the seats, very long, so even people like myself with long legs feel very supported and secure. And then, like I said, it does have the older dated infotainment system, but it is very, very easy to use. And I'm loving the digital rear view mirror, and of course, the panoramic sunroof in here. But we're gonna go ahead and get this thing out onto the highway. If you do happen to hear more wind noise than normal in this review, don't forget we have those Toyota crossbars up there attached to the roof rails. That is obviously going to create a little bit more wind noise because of those being up like that. But let's go on throttle, here we go. Getting onto the highway. Just be nice, like I said, if there was some simulated shifts there to bring the revs down. But when you get out of the highway, this is really where it earns its keep. It's gonna keep you going longer than any other compact SUV out there. And if you're comparing it to the Subaru Solterra, remember, you're gonna have to stop and charge once that battery gets low. Whereas with this, yes, you have the charge, but you also have the internal combustion engine with the electric motors to keep you going. But very, very smooth, nice, comfortable. You got the JBL sound system and all the safety features, right? I mean, you're getting that Toyota sensing technology, blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, all those goodies. And I really don't mind having the analog gauges with the digital display. I think the digital display is long enough. 7 inches is a pretty good size for a digital display. Notice how it tells you gas, restaurants, all those types of things, and what the mileage is in your infotainment system. And then, of course, going XSE, you got the sportier look, but you also have the soft text material on the seats that are heated and ventilated, which I do have them on ventilation right now, and they're not super loud, which is nice, like some other cars that we've been in. But round and round and round we go. You ready? On throttle, here we go. Can't do this in your regular RAV4. And then we get out onto the highway. Now, one thing I did notice with that U-turn underneath the overpass is that there was some understeer, and then that's when the rear motors turned on, the rear motor for the rear wheels turned on, and then we wound up getting grip and stick. Just something to be aware of with this RAV4 Prime, and that's the same thing even with their hybrid. Their standard hybrid is that electric rear motor. But hopefully you got a good idea between this when we're thinking about and talking about the Solterra. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been one heck of a day, a very surprising day in this 2022 RAV4 Prime. Definitely want to thank everybody at Toyota USA for allowing us access to this press fleet vehicle. Let me know what you think. Has Toyota really perfected? Is this the perfect compact SUV, or are you gonna go full electrification with the Subaru Solterra? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radius Rides family. Definitely got to give it up to Steven Flood Photography. Follow him on Instagram. Show him some love in the comment section. Thank you, Steven, for electrifying everybody's lives. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.